Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Well, this is part 2 of the MJ's messenger bag. Last week we talked all about the supplies you need, and this week we're going to talk all about the cutting. It's a lot. So we're going to take this week, cut everything, and then we're going to come back next Saturday and start sewing everything together. It took me quite a while. I want to say between the quilting of the fabric and then the cutting, it was 3.5 hours ish. Of course, I'm a slow cutter because I always, they say measure twice, cut once. I always measure 3 times because I'm OCD like that. But it took a long time. So you might be faster, you might be slower, it doesn't matter, but because we'll have a whole week to get it done. And then next week we'll start sewing, which I'm really excited about. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop up a little video here of the quilting. And I just took a quick little video so you guys can see me quilting. I just did a meander. That's what my daughter picked out for hers. I was thinking of doing something with books or roses because she loves books and the fabric, it kind of has a rose theme. But she said no, she just wants a regular old meander. So that's what I did. I threw it on the long arm. And yes, you can quilt soft and stable. I've had a few people ask me that on the long arm with quilting cotton and quilting cotton thread. So no problem. As you can see in the video coming up here, it goes right through it and it looks beautiful. So take a peek. Okay, now that we have all of that quilted, I cut everything out and I want to show you all the pieces. Now, hang on to your seats because it's a lot. But I did want to mention at the very beginning of the pattern, it says to cut these main and lining fabrics, which you do need, but where it says quilted set A and quilted set B, I'm doing the large size. There's 2 sizes, the small and the large, and I'm doing the large size. And I believe the fabric requirements were 1¼ yards for the main and the lining. Now, Sarah picked a directional fabric, which I showed last week, and I'll show that here again in a minute. And with directional fabric, I always do a little bit extra so I can make sure that I have my directionals going the correct way. If you're a beginner or new to this, I don't recommend directional fabric, but if you did pick directional, I will try to help you out as best I can. So instead of cutting quilted set A and B, main and lining, I just left those all one piece and I put it all in the long arm together. So I put 1½ yards of fabric of both the main and the lining together with soft and stable, and I quilted it all together. I feel like it's a little bit easier if you have a larger throat machine or a long arm to quilt it on, to quilt it that way. Now, if you're doing it on your domestic, it is a little bit easier to cut those smaller pieces first, the quilted set A and B. So that being said, if you do have a long arm, you're quilting it that way, or you're getting a long armor to quilt it for you, or if you have a large throat machine and you can quilt it all at once, leave it in one piece. Okay, so the first piece that you need to cut from the lining fabric, other than the quilted fabric, is the stabilizer sleeve. And let me grab my bag. The stabilizer piece is going to be for this right here, which is where that acrylic insert or cardboard or whatever you want to use, I have the bag inside out right now, is going to be. So let's see. This is the fabric that Sarah picked for the inside of the bag. And now for my stabilizer piece, I actually used the main fabric, but she wanted this fabric, so that is what she chose. So that is the stabilizer sleeve for the bottom of the bag. Now, all the coordinating fabric, which is mostly going to be the binding, all that kind of stuff, she picked this pink stripe right here. So it goes with, it kind of brings out the pink in the flowers. And the flowers are mostly going to be the inside of the bag, and there'll be a little bit on the outside, and I'll show you when we get there. So we're going to go through these really quick. I have them in order. Now, you might want to do this, which is what I did. The back of this pattern, there's a few pages at the back that just have these labels where you can label all of your pieces. I highly recommend that, because when I made my bag, I did not do that. And I spent more time trying to find what piece was what, because I didn't label anything, and I should have, after I cut everything. So I was constantly digging through pieces like, okay, now I need to do this part. Where's that piece? So I highly recommend that. I wouldn't cut them right from the pattern. If you can copy, if you can copy these, if you've got a copy machine, a printer that scans, and you could reprint them, something like that. Now, I also did another thing stupid when I made this bag the first time. See, you guys are learning from my mistakes. Is I accidentally threw that sheet away, but luckily, one of you out there, actually Carl, our good friend Carl, that's always on here, he had the pattern and he was willing to scan it and send it to me, just the labels, so I could label this. And I've always talked about copyright, but I don't feel like I'm violating copyright because I bought the pattern and it was just the labels. I didn't ask him to copy the pattern for me, so he sent me the labels, thank goodness, and I was able to print them off and use it for this, because that was a big mistake I made last time, is I didn't label anything, and it took me a really long time when I was sewing this just to find all the pieces. So the key is, and what I'm telling you, is be very organized, because it'll really, really help with this project. Okay, so the first piece that you need to cut are the carrying straps. And her straps are going to be this stripe. And there's two different sets of measurements. I'm not going to go through the measurements because that's not fair to the pattern designer, because I can't give you guys all that information. If you want those, you'll have to purchase the pattern. But you're going to do the carrying straps. That's piece number 1. And I'm trying to keep them in order here. The next one is the back strap. And let me grab my bag. The back strap is going to be this piece right here. So her stripes hopefully will end up going this way. And then the next piece is the hardware tabs. Put that piece down. And a lot of these are like the same width or the same size. So if you look through the page, they don't have all the ones that are the same size together. But for instance, there's several that are 2 3/4 inches wide. I won't tell the other dimension. So if you list all those out, maybe on another piece of paper, or if you can keep track of it just by looking at it, it's easier if you cut those strips and then cut all those pieces and then go to another size width piece. There's a lot of 2-inch width pieces and a lot of 2 3/4 inches. I just found that easier than going down the list piece by piece and then having to, oh, I already cut that and now I got to go back and cut more. That was just easier for me. So the next piece are the carrying strap tabs. And that was this part here, the carrying strap on the top, because we're going to make a strap on the top. And then let's see, the handle strap itself, it's that one. And then the bias binding. Now, the instructions to do bias binding are on the front page, the first page, before you even get to the cutting instructions. So right there. And then the cutting is on page 2 and on page 3. Yeah, there's 2 pages of cutting. I have not cut my bias binding strips yet, but I cut out my square. So that's ready to go. We won't need that for a while, so I might just leave that whole because we have all these other pieces. Let's see, what's after that? After that is the inner divider lining. Again, I still have my bag inside out. This is the inner divider here, and there's a lining fabric and outer fabric, and she wanted the pink for both of those instead of having like 2 different fabrics like mine has. So there's the pink for that one. That's, yeah, the lining. Okay, and then the pocket binding. There's lots of pockets on this bag, which I love. So there's several pocket bindings. That's why it's good to have these little markers because they all say what they are. Pocket E, pocket C. This is for the padded handle. And front and back bindings. Your zipper tab. And this one is the inner divider strap. Side strip bindings for the pockets on the sides. Yeah, let me turn this right side out and show you guys. I meant to turn this right side out already, but I decided I would leave it so I could show you some of the inside stuff. But there are pockets on the sides, and so those last pieces were the binding. There's binding on every bit of this bag, which I love because it looks very nice and professional and finished. So there we go. The next is pocket A and B bindings. And then we have the zipper pull fabrics, which I didn't put these on mine and I might not on hers. It just depends. I don't know. I didn't really, I feel like it's easier to pull the zipper, and sometimes those fabrics, when you put them on the zipper pulls, they just come off. So I left them off mine, but if you want them, they're there. If she wants them, they're there. This is for the pen holder. Let me grab this. I should just keep this in my lap, which is this right here. You get a place for 3 pens or pencils or whatever, markers. So that's for that. And then we have the zipper strips, which is, if you open the bag, this part right here that the zipper's attached to. Pocket C and D bindings. And then shoulder pad bindings. And that's page 1. Page 2 is, let's see, we're getting into the contrasting fabric, which she chose the floral, which the contrast is going to be this piece right here. So this will be on the outside of her bag. So that's the floral pocket. And then pocket C and D borders, which is going to be this bit right here. And then the inner divider, this is the inner divider main instead of the inner divider lining, but she chose the pink, so it's the same color, which is that slot right here that you're making for your laptop or your tablet. And it's padded, it's double padded with soft and stable, so it's nice and, you know, protection for your electronics. Okay, so let's see what's next. All right, so the next section is the soft and stable that you need, and the first part is quilted set A and quilted set B, which I've already quilted all the fabrics, so I don't have those to show you. But again, I kept my soft and stable all in one piece because I threw it on the long arm. If you guys don't have a long arm to do that or don't have a big enough throw on your machine, you can cut it into these smaller pieces. The next pieces that we needed were the padded handle stabilizer. So we need another small piece of soft and stable. That's this part right here. This is padded, which is nice. And then the inner divider padding. See, there's 2 pieces. That'll go in your bag. That's what protects your electronics. Let's see what's next. The interfacing. Again, I still have all of these labeled. So we have the pocket A interfacing, which this actually will go on behind this strip of fabric. So that's what that is. And then we have pocket C and D border interfacings. So that's these side pieces again. And then zipper strip interfacings that holds your fabric nice and stable at the zippers. Okay, so the next piece we need is the mesh fabric. Now this is for the inside pocket. I have it folded over just because it holds better with the little label. This doesn't really need to be labeled if you don't want to, because there's only one piece of mesh, but I did because we had the label. And I'll show you that is right here on the inside. Now this pattern didn't call for a snap, but I put a snap in mine just to hold everything shut, because when you start putting stuff in here, I was afraid it would all fall out. But that's not part of the instructions. But if you want to do that, I can tell you how when we get there. But that's for that mesh pocket. And then what's next? The next is the strapping. And you'll have out of the, I don't have, let's see, how much strapping? I believe it was 4 yards. Yeah. If you're doing the larger bag, it was 4 yards of strapping. The main bit of it, 57.5 inches of it, is for the main carry strap. So that's one long piece. And then we have the carrying strap stabilizers, which is that top strap. And then we have handle straps, and then a back strap. So many pieces. Told you guys there's a lot of cutting. And then we have an inner divider strap, a swivel hook, tab stabilizers. That's these right here. So there's all kind of little things, and we'll get to all that when we sew. Let's see. I think that's all of those. I think I missed one somewhere, but it's here somewhere. Okay, and then we need elastic for your pens. So you have the fabric, but then this is the elastic to actually hold them in place. And Sarah picked this pretty shiny, sparkly elastic. And then we need just 1.5 inches of Velcro. So it was like this teeny little piece. So don't go buy a whole mess of Velcro. You don't need a ton of it. And then I think that's it besides the zipper. And I just kind of wound the zipper up because I had zipper by the yard, and you need 40 inches for the large bag. And I have 2 zipper pulls in there that I put in with my hardware. I'm keeping all my hardware together so I don't lose anything. So I've got all the pieces parts here. Now, the other thing you're going to need, let me grab this, is that if you do not have circle templates, these are by Creative Grids. They have 6.5 inch down to 2.5 inch, I believe. They come in a set. I cannot find my 2.5 inch circle. I used it the last time I made this bag, but I can't find it now. So if I don't find it, the nice thing is you don't have to buy those. So if this bag is a one and done for you and you're never going to make bags again, don't buy those. If you plan on making multiple bags, they're a good investment. But if you aren't going to make any more bags, or you're just trying this out and you don't know if you're going to like making bags, ByAnnie has the circle templates on their website. It's a paper, you just print it out. And what I do is I cut on the line that I need, I cut the rest away, and then I just use my pen and trace along that circle. So you can get this for free on ByAnnie's website called Circle Templates. It's kind of a little bit hard to find. I'll tell you, they kind of bury it, but you can find it. And if you can't find it, once we get to that point, let me know and I will be happy to send you a copy because it's free, so I don't feel bad sending you a copy. And you can print it out, and it prints out with a 1 inch size marker, so you make sure it's the right size, and that's what you'll need to round our corners on this bag, because this bag does have, let's see, on the front here, the corners are all rounded off. So you'll need that. The bottoms of the bag are all rounded off too, here and here. Okay, so that's that. Now let's get to the quilted pieces. I quilted everything and cut it, and I did want to show you guys because I am using directional fabrics. So the first piece that you have to cut is the bag front from your quilted fabric. So here's the front. So no problem with directionals on this because the back and the front are 2 separate pieces. So there's the front. Oh, and here's her lining. So that's going to be really cute. There's the back. Here's the back pocket piece. And let me grab my bag again. And here's the back pocket. And you can divide it however you want. You could sew one down the middle like I did, or you can change it up if you want to. But that's the back pocket. And then the carrying strap pieces. So this is the padded part on the carrying strap, and you can use whichever side you want. Grab that again. That's for this piece right here that we're going to make for the long carrying strap. And then the next thing is the side strip. Now the side strip is the piece that's going to connect your bag, the front and the back and everything all together, and it's going to go down and around like this. So because this is directional fabric, it says to cut one long piece, okay, 5.5 inches by the length that they tell you. So what I did is I added a 1/2 inch onto my strip, and then I cut it in half. So I have 2 strips. Now you will have one if you have non-directional fabric, but if you have directional fabric, this is how you do it. Add a 1/2 inch, cut it in half, and then I'm going to sew it together. So when this goes up the sides of the bag, the words will be upright. And so I'm going to sew it together in the middle here. So all the words will be going the correct direction, because with my OCD, and I know my daughter inherited it, if like one was upright on this side and the other side it was going down, it would drive us nuts. Now that might not drive you nuts, so it might be okay. You might not have to do that, but it would drive me nuts. So I just added a 1/2 inch to the dimension, because when we sew it together with a 1/4 inch, that accounts for that 1/2 inch. So it'll still be perfectly long enough, and it'll give us the piece we need and everything, and it'll be going the right direction. Okay, and then this is the front pocket. The rest of these, even though they're directional, were easy because we did cut out individual pieces. That side strip was the only piece that I had to really worry about. Let's see, this is the flap. So the part that's going to go over, oop, which got tucked inside. The part that's going to go over. And then the pocket up here sits like on top of the flap, if that makes sense. And then these are the side pockets. Now, what you can do if you want a little bit of contrast, you don't have to do like I did on mine, the main fabric, and my side pockets were the main fabric, but you could always use the lining side and instead of that side, and I'm going to ask Sarah what she wants, and flip it around if you want a little bit more contrast. When I made her duffel bag for Christmas, her Harry Potter one, the pattern called for the main all on the outside, but she's like, oh, why don't we flip those around, those side pockets, because the inside fabric she really liked as well. So you get a little bit of that on the outside. So yeah, so you can kind of do whatever you want there. Just make sure you're watching your sizes, cut everything correctly. Like I said, if you have directional fabric, I would recommend having a little bit extra yardage. I did 1.5 yards, so I could get all my pieces. But to be honest with you, I've got a big, I didn't realize this because I put it aside when I was cutting, but I've actually got a good size piece left, and I probably could have done just 1.25 yards, but I didn't want to not have enough. So I did a little bit extra. But if you're doing directional, if you're very careful how you cut and you don't make a mistake, you could probably get away with just the 1.25 yards. All right, well, that's everything for all the cutting and everything. Looking for the pattern pieces that I left over here. The first thing we're going to do next week is we are going to go ahead and, I can't find the paper. It got buried under all the fabric. We're going to start sewing, and I forget what the first thing to sew was, but I'm pretty sure, because I don't have the right page here, I must have put it, it floated away while I was talking. I'm pretty sure the first page or so is the straps, but I'm not positive. Just look it over, and we will start, and we will just tick these things off one at a time. We'll do it together. I'm really excited to get this done. My daughter is very excited. Sarah's very excited to have this bag. And she says she's been threatening to take my bag ever since I made it. So the sooner I get her bag done, the less likely she'll be wanting to take mine. And she's about to start school again. Not next week, but the week after. And this won't be done by then, but it'll be done shortly after that. So I might let her borrow mine for a little bit. until hers gets done. But super excited to be doing this with you guys. Thank you for being here with me. Tomorrow I'm going to have a quick video about the 365 challenge that my friend Kevin got me hooked into. It's a really fun challenge to do a block a day. Now, I'm already behind, but that's okay because the first several blocks I printed them off, they're super easy. Like a 4-patch, a 9-patch, 3 strips to put together. But if you would like to join us in that challenge, check out my video tomorrow. I'm going to talk all about it, talk about the website. It's completely free. All the blocks are free. If you decide that you want to purchase a month's worth of blocks and do them all at once, you can. It's only $5, so it's very inexpensive. But you can do one a day like we're going to be doing, and it's completely free. So what a great fun thing. It's a great way to use up those scraps in your stash. If you have a ton of fabric like that's been sitting there you don't know what to do with, this is a great way to use it up. So I hope you'll do that along with us. Kevin started his project a few years ago. I think it's going to be one of his UFOs, and he got through about June-ish, I believe, and his blocks are gorgeous. And this year he decided he's going to pick it back up. So he challenged me to do it as well, so we can help each other get this done. So thank you, Kevin. And if I get his permission, I will show you his progress so far. I will ask him before I put up that video. But check that out tomorrow. Don't forget also about the UFO challenge that I've got going on. If you haven't seen that video, check out that video and it'll tell you everything about the challenge and how to get your form to fill out and how to submit it to me, so you can be part of that and part of the giveaways with that. It's just a fun way to keep myself on track and hopefully help some of you get on track with some of your UFOs, because I don't know too many quilters that don't have them. And the ones that don't, that do one project at a time, bravo. That is so awesome. I mean it seriously. Like, I have too many squirrel moments to be able to do just one project at a time, but I'm proud of you for those of you who can do that and don't have any UFOs. That's not me. So I've got a lot of catching up to do on several projects, and so I hope you'll join me for that as well. I'll see you next Saturday for the next part, some sewing on this bag. And until then, stay safe and keep sewing. See you soon. Bye.